Hi everyone, I'm here with McHugh, lead singer of the Beautiful Girls. How are we doing today?
Good. How are you?
Alright, thanks. First of all, welcome to Wollongong.
Yeah, man. Oh, well, I live just up the road in Cronulla, actually, so I live really close and I always come down to Wollongong and surf, so I don't often frequent the university, but I love it. It's a beautiful place, so it's good to be here.
So, are you more of a surfer or a musician?
That's a good question. If I have to give up one, I'd give up music, I think, for sure, yeah. But thankfully, well, touch wood, I haven't had to make that choice yet. So
You've been able to find a good balance between the waves and the music.
yeah, sometimes depends where you tour. Like touring is obviously a big part of what we do. And when I'm home making records, I can surf often. And then we try to hug the coast whenever we tour, but there's a lot of stretches where we're inland and there's no waves, and you just got to suck it up and deal with it. And that's the times when music is not looking so crash hot as a career choice. But there's for the most part, it's good, man. It's cool.
The new album that's recently come out, Dancehall Days, came as number 5 on iTunes Australia's electronic charts. Would you define yourself as an electronica kind of band or not?
Yeah. Well, it's weird because I think that I make all the records myself, right? So I chop up drums. I have an old MPC and a bunch of samplers and a bunch of crusty old studio gear, and I make the records by myself in the garage pretty much. And the last few records have been like that too, but I made them seem like they were being played by a real band. And then we tour with a real rhythm section, an acoustic rhythm section, so a drum kit and a standard bass guitar. And I've kind of grown tired of that. I feel like it's pretty limiting, and it's I'm not really into that kind of aesthetic at the moment anyway. And the last record was made the same as all the other records, chopped up from break beats and just mashed together, just exactly like an electronic artist or a hip hop producer would do. And the only difference is there's guitars layered over the top and vocals and horns. But really, the genesis of it and the heart and soul of it is all put together in an old MPC, which is by definition electronic. So I feel like it's actually probably more honest than calling us a blues and roots band. We're definitely not that. And I definitely don't think we're alternative or rock. So it's closer to the target, but I don't really believe in kind of defining it as anything, to tell you the truth.
I feel like you're an independent band who just wants to do whatever they want to do. You don't want to be constrained by certain guidelines of any particular genre.
That's right, man. I think it's just independent music, and I think like as you go on in 2014, I think the only reason for having these definitions is for marketing and selling stuff, and so it makes it easier to divide things up into their little categories and say this is that, so you can understand it more easily. And that's fine, I get that, but as a creative person, it doesn't make much sense to me to kind of think in those terms.
I'm not sure if you're aware, but we're approaching the end of semester for university students, and it's a time where everyone's studying hard and a little bit stressed and trying to cram in. What piece of advice would you think you can give to those students that are doubting themselves or looking for some sort of motivational words?
Well, my strongest advice would be do not listen to my advice. That's definitely number one on the list. I went to about 6 different universities and dropped out of all of them. I just never sat too well with academia, although I entirely respect it wholeheartedly, but I don't know if I have any advice, man. Like, my advice is just try and find the joy in what you're doing and love what you're doing. I think it's a struggle if you don't really enjoy the process that you're involved in, so if you're studying something, and it's easier said than done, there's always subjects that are a bit irksome, but you got to try and find the joy in there somewhere, and it'll make it a more successful endeavour for you, I think. And rather than just like beating your head against the wall and just hating it, you got to try and find some coolness in it somewhere.
Thanks very much.